Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
Usually we're looking at these massive, global trends or breaking down big tech concepts. But today, we are zooming in,
Microscopically.
microscopically, on a single document from a single construction site.
It sounds incredibly niche when you put it that way, doesn't it?
Kinda
But stick with us, because this is one of those times where the micro, it tells you everything about the macro.
Exactly. So let's set the scene. We are transporting ourselves to a very specific place and time.
Okay.
Picture a bustling industrial site. It is January 16th, 2026. We are sitting in a room labeled the BSL Safety Induction Room, and we are about to undergo a training session conducted by a gentleman named Ramjeet Kumar.
And the document on the screen in front of us is titled the EHS Compliance and Enforcement Protocol. It's for an electro-mechanical project group.
Now, on the surface, this looks like your standard bureaucratic checklist. You know the type.
Right. Wear your helmet.
Don't run with scissors. Wash your hands. It feels like something you just nod through while you're checking your phone.
But when you actually read through this protocol, when you really peel back the layers, what you find is, well, it's a fascinating blueprint for human behavior management. It's not really about hard hats. It's about how you engineer human psychology in an environment where a single mistake doesn't just result in a typo. It results in a fatality.
That is the hook for me. We're looking at a system that is part legal code, part surveillance state, and surprisingly, part therapy session.
That is a perfect description. And before we get into the therapy part, which is wild, we have to understand the stakes.
Right.
The source material specifies electromechanical projects. We aren't building a garden shed here.
Right. So what does electromechanical actually entail in this context?
Well, we're talking about erecting heavy machinery, dealing with high-voltage electrical grids, complex piping systems, and working at significant heights. This is a very high-energy, high-risk environment.
The document mentions a zero-incident work culture as the objective, which, I'll be honest, usually feels like corporate speak to me. You know, a nice slogan to put on a poster.
In an office, zero incident is a slogan.
Sure.
In this context, incident means an explosion, an electrocution, or a fall from a gantry. So zero incident isn't a KPI.
It's a survival strategy.
It's a survival strategy. And what makes this protocol so interesting is that it admits that hope isn't a strategy. You can't just hope people are careful. You have to build a cage of rules and consequences around them.
So let's dismantle this cage and see how it works. The protocol starts with how they watch you. It lists 3 specific monitoring tools: inspection, observation, and audit. Now, to the layperson, and that's me, these sound like synonyms. I'm checking on you, I'm watching you, I'm auditing you. Why do they need 3 different words for basically looking at stuff?
It does sound redundant, I agree.
Yeah.
But in the EHS world,
Okay.
environment, health, and safety, these are 3 very distinct lenses.
Lenses.
Yeah, think of it like photography. You have
Yeah.
different lenses for different depths of field.
Okay, walk me through the lenses then. Let's start with inspection.
Inspection is your, let's say, your wide-angle shot of the physical environment. The document assigns this primarily to the supervisors. This is a daily or weekly tactical check.
So they're looking at the hardware.
Exactly. Is the scaffolding physically sound? Is the electrical panel door closed? Are the fire extinguishers charged and in the right place?
So inspection checks the things.
Right. Things don't have intentions. They are either broken or they aren't. It's binary. But then you have the second tool, observation.
And this is where it gets into the human element, right? The protocol explicitly links this to behavior-based safety, BDS.
Precisely. This is the zoom lens focusing on the people. An inspection might tell you the saw blade is sharp. An observation tells you if the worker is using the saw correctly.
Or if they're rushing.
Or if they're rushing, or if they bypassed the guard because it was annoying them. The document notes that observation focuses on safe versus unsafe acts.
And there is a key phrase here that I circled: everyone's job.
That is the crucial distinction. See, inspection is the boss's job. Observation is peer-to-peer. The protocol is trying to deputize the entire workforce. It wants to create a culture where I'm not just looking at the machine I'm working on, I'm watching you to make sure you don't lose a finger.
Which is much harder to enforce, isn't it? I mean, people hate correcting their peers. It's socially awkward to tell your buddy, hey, put your glasses on.
It is incredibly awkward. It goes against our social instincts to not be a snitch or a nag, but that's why the system is designed this way, to normalize that intervention. So it doesn't feel personal, it just feels like work.
So inspection checks things, observation checks people. That brings us to the third pillar, the audit.
If inspection is the daily grind, And observation is the behavioral check. The audit is the way systemic deep dive. The source says these happen monthly or quarterly. This is where the safety team checks if the entire system matches the law.
And the document lists some heavy hitters here. Client standards, OSHA guidelines, the Indian Factories Act, and the BOCW.
The BOCW, that's the Building and Other Construction Workers Act. It's a massive piece of legislation in India designed to protect construction labor. So the audit is basically the stress test.
Okay.
It asks, okay, we have inspections and we have observations, but did we actually follow the laws we claimed we'd follow?
It's like a layered defense system.
Exactly. It's the Swiss cheese model. Every layer has holes, human error, laziness, oversight. You stack the layers, inspection, observation, audit, so that the holes don't align and let an accident slip through.
But let's say the holes do align, or let's say I just ignore the safety culture. I'm on site, I'm tired, I want to go home, so I cut a corner.
Right.
Now we enter the section of the protocol dealing with the crime. This document is essentially a penal code for the job site.
It is. And like any penal code, it classifies offenses based on severity. It's not one size fits all. The protocol breaks violations down into 3 tiers: minor, major, and critical.
Or zero tolerance.
Or zero tolerance, yeah.
I want to look at the major category first, because the examples in the text are terrifyingly specific. It lists working at height greater than 2 meters without a harness.
That is the classic killer in construction. Gravity is undefeated. And 2 meters doesn't sound high to some people. It's just over 6 feet.
My height, basically.
Right. But a fall from that height, if you land on your head or neck, or if you land on rebar, is often fatal or paralyzing.
Yeah.
The protocol draws a hard line there. No harness, no work.
And then we have the critical or zero tolerance violations. These are the ones where you don't even get a conversation. You're just done.
Yeah.
The biggest one mentioned is low-tow violations.
Low-tow, lockout to gout.
For listeners who haven't worked in a factory or on a heavy site, explain OTO, because it sounds like a lottery game, but I have a feeling the stakes are a little bit higher.
Much higher. Imagine you need to fix a giant industrial mixer, something with massive steel blades. You turn it off at the switch. You climb inside to clean the blades. While you are inside, a colleague walks by, sees the machine is off, thinks that's weird, this should be running, and flicks the switch.
And you are turned into a smoothie.
Horrifically, yes, or electrocuted. LTO prevents that. You don't just turn it off, you put a physical padlock on the power switch.
Yeah.
You keep the only key in your pocket. The machine literally cannot be turned on until you, the person inside it, come out and unlock it.
So a LOTO violation isn't just, I forgot a step, it's, I left the door open for a fatal accident.
Exactly. That is why it is zero tolerance. The protocol also lists improper electrical temporary wiring and working without a permit to work as critical.
Right.
These are procedural firewalls. If you breach them, you are proving you are too dangerous to be on the site.
And the speed of this system is intense. The document mentions a 24-hour rule for reporting.
Safety has a half-life. If you see a violation and report it a week later, the evidence is gone, and the behavior has likely been repeated 50 times.
So you have to stop it right then.
The protocol demands immediate reporting. Verbal first to stop the act, then followed by written observation cards or, digital apps.
It mentions digital tools if available, which I thought was a nice touch of realism for 2026. It acknowledges that sometimes you might just have a pen and paper in your pocket.
Right.
But the data needs to get into the system regardless.
Data capture is everything. Whether it's an app or a card, they need that data point. If they know that Sector 4 has had 10 near misses with electrical wiring this week, they can intervene before the fire happens. Without the report, they are flying blind.
Okay, so let's say I've been caught, I didn't use OLO, or maybe something smaller, I wasn't wearing my safety goggles. Now we get to the site-specific penalty system. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's a 4-level escalation ladder.
And this specific structure, it's very common in Indian industrial contexts, where financial penalties are often used as a deterrent alongside the administrative ones.
So let's climb the ladder, level 1. This is for a minor violation.
This is the warning shot. You get a verbal warning in counseling. The observation is recorded. The goal here is correction, not punishment. It's, hey, put your goggles on, don't do it again.
Fair enough. But level 2 is where it gets interesting. This is for moderate or repeated violations. Now money is involved.
Right. A fine is levied between 500 and 2,000 rupees. In the context of a skilled worker's wage, that's a sting. It's not bankruptcy, but it ruins your week. It takes money out of your pocket.
But there is something else attached to level 2 that I think is the most innovative part of this whole document.
The apology letter.
The apology letter. When I first read this, I have to be honest, I laughed. It sounded so juvenile, like Bart Simpson writing on the chalkboard, "I will not forget my helmet."
Right.
It felt infantilizing.
I had the exact same reaction initially. It feels like public shaming.
Yeah.
But if you look at the expert notes on this and the psychology behind it, it's actually brilliant.
How so? How is writing a letter better than just paying the 500 rupees?
Because a fine is a transaction. It's a fee for service. I want to speed. The ticket costs $200. I pay it. I continue speeding. It's economic. You can rationalize it. But an apology letter, that requires cognitive processing.
The document is very strict about the format, too. You can't just scribble "sorry" on a napkin.
No, you have to acknowledge the mistake explicitly.
Yeah.
You have to commit to not repeating it. And most importantly, and this is the kicker, you have to explain the root cause.
Root cause. That's the magic phrase.
It changes everything. You have to sit down and write, "I didn't wear my harness because..." Why? You have to fill in that blank.
You have to articulate the why.
Because I was in a rush. Because the harness was uncomfortable. Because my supervisor told me to hurry up. And once you articulate the why, you can't hide from it. It forces the worker to confront their own decision-making process.
It creates cognitive dissonance.
Exactly. I am a smart professional worker, but I did this dangerous thing because I was lazy?
Yeah.
That is uncomfortable. And that discomfort changes behavior way more effectively than losing a few rupees.
It also creates a record of the mindset, not just the action. The document says these letters are submitted to the EHS department and the project manager and kept in the personal file.
That is the accountability piece.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a fine on your record. It's another to have a letter in your own handwriting admitting that you endangered the project. It demonstrates ownership, which is a word the protocol uses heavily.
So it shifts the dynamic from "the safety officer caught me" to "I admit I failed the team."
Precisely. It stops being me versus you and becomes me versus myself. It turns the worker into an active participant in their own discipline.
Moving up the ladder, level 3 is for major violations. This is the 2-meter fall risk we talked about earlier.
Now we are past apologies. This triggers a stop work order. You are pulled off the line immediately. Then comes suspension for 1 to 7 days.
That's a significant loss of pay.
A huge loss of pay, plus a fine of over 5,000 rupees.
And you can't just come back and say sorry.
No, you have to undergo mandatory retraining. You basically have to go back to school before you can touch a tool again. They are resetting your status on the site.
And finally, level 4, critical zero tolerance.
The nuclear option. Immediate removal from the site. But the document uses a very specific heavy word here, blacklisting.
That implies you aren't just fired from this job, you're fired from the network.
In large industrial conglomerates or project groups, they share data. If you are blacklisted for a LODO violation on Site A, you are not getting hired on Site B, C, or D. Your career in that ecosystem is effectively over.
It seems harsh, doesn't it? One mistake and you are unhirable.
It is harsh. But go back to the why. If you violate OLOTO, you have demonstrated that you are willing to risk killing yourself or someone else. Can a company afford to keep a person like that on a site with high voltage lines? The risk calculation says no.
It's not just a mistake at that level.
No, it's a character flaw in the context of safety.
It's the difference between a mistake and negligence. Level 1 is a mistake. Level 4 is negligence.
Precisely. And legal action is also on the table for Level 4. If your negligence causes damage, they will sue you or press charges. It's a reminder that safety regulations are, they're written in blood and they are enforced by law.
Now, all of this, the inspections, the fines, the letters, the blacklists, it all generates a mountain of paperwork. The final section of the protocol is record keeping.
Which is usually the part where everyone stops listening.
It is the boring part. Files, registers, checklists. But the expert analysis here calls it bureaucracy as safety. I want to understand that. Why does Ramjeet Kumar want all these observation cards and penalty registers filed away?
2 reasons. One is defense. External defense.
Covering your backs.
Pretty much. If an accident happens,
Yeah.
despite all this, they sometimes do, the first thing the government, the police, and the insurance company will ask is, did you do everything reasonable to prevent this?
And the company can pull out 5 years of records and say, yes, look, we inspected this daily, we caught this guy 3 times, we retrained him, we have the receipts.
Exactly. It's legal armor. The document explicitly mentions proof of compliance during client audits and insurance claims. But the second reason is internal. It's about data.
You mentioned earlier spotting trends.
If you don't write it down, it didn't happen. By keeping these records for 3 to 5 years, which is the retention policy mentioned, the safety team can see patterns that human memory misses. Why are there always foot injuries in the warehouse on Fridays? Maybe the lighting is bad. Maybe everyone is tired. You need data to solve that.
And the document does mention a carrot to go with all these sticks. It's not all punishments and fines.
Yes, incentives. They use the same data to hand out safety champion awards and bonus points. So if your file is full of safe observations, meaning you helped others, and 0 violations, that bureaucracy helps you get a bonus or a promotion.
So the paper trail works both ways. It can hang you or it can promote you.
It's an impartial witness to your performance.
Stepping back from the document, it really is a complete ecosystem. You have the surveillance eyes, the legal code of crimes, the psychological tool of the apology, and the data archive underpinning it all. And this is just normal life for these workers.
It has to be. The transition the document tries to make is from safety as a rule to safety as a culture.
Right.
A rule is something you follow when the cop is watching. Culture is what you do when no one is watching.
That's the goal of the observation system, right?
Right.
Deputizing everyone.
Right. If safety is just Ramjeet Kumar's job, the site will fail. He can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
If safety is my job and your job, then we might get to that 0 incident goal.
It reminds me of the closing sentiment in the protocol, prevention over punishment.
That's the key. We talked a lot about fines and blacklisting, but those represent failures of the system. If you have to fire someone, the system failed to correct them earlier. The apology letter, the warnings, the counseling, those are all attempts to save the worker from themselves before the accident happens.
They're trying to intervene before physics takes over. It's a rigorous, almost military discipline, and it's happening on January 16th, 2026, in a room with Ramjeet Kumar, while the rest of the world just expects their electricity to work and their buildings to stand up.
We take the result for granted, but we rarely see the process. And the process is defined by documents like this. It's unglamorous, it's bureaucratic, but it's what keeps the lights on.
So here's the final thought I want to leave our listeners with today. We live in an era of high-tech solutions. We have AI cameras, wearable sensors, automated drones. And this site, in 2026, probably has all of that.
Almost certainly. They likely have cameras that can detect if you aren't wearing a hard hat automatically.
But when it comes to the moment of truth-fixing a human behavior error, the protocol doesn't suggest an AI intervention. It doesn't suggest a robot. It suggests an apology letter.
It goes analog.
It goes analog.
Yeah.
It relies on the simple, old-fashioned act of sitting down with a pen and paper, admitting you were wrong, and explaining why.
It really makes you wonder, in our rush to automate everything, have we underestimated the power of simple human introspection? Does forcing someone to articulate the root cause of their error save more lives than a sensor ever could?
It's a question of psychology versus technology, and at least on this construction site, psychology is still pulling its weight.
Something to think about the next time you have to apologize for something.
Yeah.
Don't just say sorry. Find the root cause.
There you go. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe.